Prince Handley coming to you with 100,000 watts of pure healing, miracle working love. I want to talk to you today about a brand new series that I want to give to you, and it's only on this particular podcast platform that you're going to receive this material. And I want to do them very regularly, even with my busy schedule. I want to talk to you about the third temple in Jerusalem, and specifically about where the third temple will be built. In a previous podcast teaching, I talked to you about third temple timing and terrorist. We talked about the timing of its construction on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem and the effect of terrorism with relation to its construction, plus the question that nobody asked. Just to give you a brief background, the new global governance leader will appoint a head of global religion who will be a false prophet who persecutes Jews and real Christians. The head of the global religion, or the false prophet, will demand people worldwide to worship the new global governance leader. That's the false Mashiach, referred to in the New Testament in the Brit Hadashah as the beast. And he, the false prophet, will construct an image of the beast and demand the populace to worship the image. Also, after the third temple is completed, about 42 months later, in the middle of the 7-year covenant, that's the 7-year treaty that the Antichrist will make between the Jews and Palestinians, the new global governance leader, the antitype actually of Antiochus Epiphanes IV, who in 168 before the Christian era sacrificed a sow on the altar in the temple. And he will go into the temple and declare that he is God, just like Antiochus did. He will profane the temple. So after the temple is built, around 42 months into the 7-year covenant, about halfway through, this Antichrist, this false Messiah, the false Mashiach, will go into the temple and he will declare that he is God. He will blaspheme God. And the Bible tells us, in the book of Daniel, chapter 11, verse 31, "For the day will not come until after apostasy has come, and the man who separates himself from Torah has been revealed, the one destined for doom. He will oppose himself to everything that people call a god or make an object of worship. He will put himself above them all, so that he will sit in the temple of God and proclaim that he himself is God." Now it's at this time that Israel will go into the time of Jacob's trouble. But Israel will be delivered at the end of the last 42 months of that 7-year period, when the real Mashiach, Yeshua, Jesus, the Messiah, appears. At the end of the 7-year covenant, the new global governance with regional Islamic forces will attack Israel. These forces will be marshaled by what Scripture calls the beast, or the false Messiah. That's the new global governance leader. However, at the last nanosecond, the real Mashiach, the Messiah, will appear from heaven and he will defeat the anti-Israel armies. Messiah will set up his kingdom where peace, prosperity, and purity will abound. Israel wins permanently. Now, let me ask you the question that nobody asks. Will the real Mashiach cleanse the third temple, which has been profaned by the new global governance leader, the beast, the Antichrist? Or will he make a new fourth temple during his rule? What do you think? Email me your answer at princehandleyradio@gmail.com. Let me quote to you from Jeremiah chapter 33:14. "Behold, the days are coming, says Adonai, when I will fulfill this good promise which I have proclaimed for the house of Israel and the house of Judah." Good things are coming, but before they do, there's going to be some very bad times. Now, let's go back to what I was talking about when I opened this segment. I want to start a new series on the third temple and where it's going to be located. You say, well, why do you say that? It's on the Temple Mount. Wait a minute, my friend. I'm going to, in this series, share some new things that I have researched and that I have discovered. By the way, let me give you a little background. I'm not an expert in archaeology, but I did study archaeology under Dr. Charles Lee Feinberg, a tremendous Hebrew Christian and professor, well known in Semitic circles. Also, I've been to Israel. I have seen the Herodian stones and the other type of stone and rock formations. I've been to the city of David. I've been on the Temple Mount. Matter of fact, the Arabs kicked me out of. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to share some things in this new series that will completely revolutionize the geopolitics of the end times. And I'm going to share with you some things, my friends, that could absolutely revolutionize thinking about end time timetables. And it might even move things up a little more quickly. Okay, my friend, let me share with you some interesting things. First of all, let's talk about the Temple Mount. You know, it amasses over 375 literary descriptions from several versions of the Bible. And the Talmud, other Jewish sources, pseudepigrapha, the Apocrypha, they all demonstrate the first and second Jewish temples stood in the city of David, above the Gihon Springs, and not where the Dome of the Rock is located now, and not where many scholars say the temple was located. And I'm going to verify this, and I'm going to give you lots of teaching on this. The alleged temple on the Temple Mount, I'm talking about the traditional view now that many hold on the Temple Mount, or Haram al-Sharif, is compared with Josephus' description of the Roman camp. Now, why am I saying that? Because I would rather believe what a person who was there when Jerusalem stood, when the temple stood, and was there when Jerusalem was destroyed, and was there after Jerusalem was destroyed. I would rather hear what he has to say, and also he being the most popular Jewish historian of the ages, I would rather listen to what he says than what some 21st thinkers might say about it, be they Jewish or Gentile. And we'll get into these specifically in several series. But to give you a little background of Josephus, he lived in Jerusalem. He was there at the destruction. He saw it after the temple was destroyed. And he was even given the records, the Jewish records, of the construction of Fort Antonio by King Herod. He was also given the Roman records of Jewish wars, what happened, when they happened, where they happened. He is impeccably accurate. He's a first century eyewitness observant, and not, as I said, a 21st century guesser. Josephus definitely said that the Jewish temple was in the city of David, not where people think it is now. Now, why am I sharing this? And why is it so important in this series we're getting ready to cover? Here's why. If the Jewish people understand that the temple never stood on the Dome of the Rock complex, or what they call the Temple Mount now, then the construction of the third temple could begin immediately in the city of David on the southeast ridge of Jerusalem. Tradition is probably stronger than historical fact. In other words, tradition is stronger than what an eyewitness named Josephus said. Only something supernatural, only maybe some new findings archaeologically, or some other dynamic happening can change the traditionalist thinking problem. But my purpose in this series is to change that thinking. Will the spirit of tradition override the spirit of truth? The temple, my friend, was not where they say it is now, at the Temple Mount. It was in the city of David. There are archaeologists, historians, and academics convinced that the first and second Jewish temple never stood on what's known as the Temple Mount now. And let me tell you something to think about. If they could get Mount Zion's location wrong for so many years, isn't it possible they could get the location of the temple wrong? So we're going to cover that in this series. Stay tuned. We're going to discuss some important things, and we're going to delve into a lot of what Josephus, the Jewish historian, taught about where the Jewish temple stood. Okay, my friend, buckle up. Hang on for the ride. This has been your friend, Prince Handley, coming to you with 100,000 watts of pure healing, miracle-working love. Baruch haba b'shem Adonai.